Darth Nihilus' fleet began to lay waste to the surface of Telos. Led by Adrian Garrett, Telos' security forces and the few docked Republic forces attempted to form a counterattack against insurmountable odds. The Ebon Hawk exited hyperspace over the war-torn planet above and docked at Citadel Station. Upon their arrival, Zek Vorn reunited with Adrian and began to push back against the Sith. But Zek encountered an old adversary, Darth Sion's apprentice. Still distraught by the death of Sasha, Zek did not hold back, besting the Sith apprentice in combat, killing him. With a foothold re-established, Zek and Adrian met with Republic Captain Mikhail Organa and came up with a plan to take the fight to the Sith above. Against Adrian's wishes, they went ahead with a plan without the aid of Admiral Onesi's fleet. Mandalore rallied some of his fighters, and the battle for Telos began. With the aid of the Mandalorians, Zek, Visas, and Mandalore boarded Darth Nihilus' capital ship, the Ravager, and placed timed explosives throughout the vessel. Before they left, Zek knew they had to deal with the planet-consuming Dark Lord himself, and they headed to the bridge. Outside, Admiral Onesi's fleet arrived and joined the battle. The three of them confronted Nihilus on the bridge. Nihilus attempted to drain the life force from Zek, as he had done to so many other Jedi, but was unable to. Enraged with his failure, Nihilus launched into a furious assault against all three. Unable to beat him, Visas honorably sacrificed herself, her death weakening Nihilus due to the Force bond between them. Finally, Zek slayed the planet consumer and rushed to Visas' side, listening to her final words encouraging him to be strong. He and Mandalore fled the vessel as it exploded, but unknown to them, Nihilus' sadistic apprentice watched from the shadows, planning revenge. The remaining Sith forces retreated, and on his return to Citadel Station, Zek was summoned by Admiral Onesi. Onesi told Zek of the infamous Sith Lord Revan, believing he was still out there. Burdened by this news, Zek left for the cantina and confided in Adrian about Sasha's demise. As Adrian rejoined Zek on the Hawk, they received a transmission from a Mandalorian scout requesting they return to the camp at Duxon immediately. As the Ebon Hawk sped through hyperspace, Zek confronted Kreia about her past, and she admitted everything to him. Kreia had once been a Dark Lord of the Sith. She had trained Darth Revan herself, and was overthrown by two of her other apprentices, Nihilus and Sion. On the other side of the galaxy, Darth Revan searched a planet for a Jedi Master in hiding, in an attempt to track the location of all remaining Jedi Knights. Enraged that the Master would not yield any information to him, Revan killed him in full view of the planet's inhabitants, sending a strong word to the galaxy. Darth Revan has returned. The Ebon Hawk touched down on Duxon. The group was informed of a coup taking place in the city of Iziz, on the planet Onderon. Zek knew that time was of the essence. If Master Kavar, bodyguard to the Queen, was killed, then his plan to reunite the Jedi Order would collapse. Zek and the Mandalorians launched an assault on the city of Iziz, battling back against General Vaklu's forces, who were allied with the Sith. The assault itself was led by Nihilus' apprentice, determined to finish her master's work. With the help of the Mandalorian forces, Zek's team fought their way through the war-torn streets, eventually splitting up. As they attempted to breach the palace, Aten and the Handmaiden were confronted by Dark Jedi as they attempted to disable the city's anti-aircraft towers. Just as the Dark Warrior raised his blade to deliver the killing stroke, the Handmaiden felt something call to her. The Force itself started to stir within her, and she used it to defend herself against her opponent. Inside the palace, Zek confronted his old adversary. He tried to reason with her, but the apprentice's mind had become twisted and corrupted by Nihlus' influence, and the two locked sabers once again. While Zek was eventually able to beat her, she revealed a shocking truth. The Sith Lord behind the entire armada was Darth Revan. Despite reeling from the shock of this news, Zek stormed the throne room. Inside, he found Queen Talia and General Vaklu engaged in a deadly duel to determine the future of Aziz itself. Zek was able to reason with them both, convincing them to lay down their arms. Talia's forces merged with the Mandalorians, vowing to come to Zek's aid when needed. Master Kavar spoke with Zek and promised to meet him on Dantooine with the other masters. Held captive in a hangar remained the only loose end on Aziz. Zek once again tried to reason with Nihlus' apprentice, begging her to join him. But the apprentice, distraught with her own failure, could not bring herself to agree, and chose to take her own life. As the crew of the Ebon Hawk prepared to leave, Zek spoke with the Handmaiden and agreed to train her alongside Aten. On the other side of the galaxy, Atris, the Handmaiden's former master, became aware of her betrayal. Back aboard the Ebon Hawk, Zek began to train Aten and the Handmaiden in the ways of the Force, as Adrian watched disapprovingly from a distance. From the far reaches of space, Revan received word of the Sith's failing on Aziz, and ordered his fleets to begin strikes against the Republic. When the Ebon Hawk touched back down on Dantooine, Zek's journey was nearly over. He and Kreia headed for the ruins of the Enclave. Kreia waited outside as Zek journeyed to the old council chambers. Within, Zek learned the truth behind his exile and how he had lost his connection to the Force. The Masters told him that due to his actions on Malachor V at the end of the war, Zek had become a wound in the Force. After he activated the mass shadow generator, he was able to feel every being around him as they died. He cut himself off from the Force unknowingly to survive, and his ability to feel the Force again was only due to his companions. He was literally draining the life force from them. He was a wound, and his presence would draw the Sith wherever he traveled. The Masters refused to take action, finally cutting him off from the Force entirely to save themselves. Shocked from this revelation, Zek was unable to speak. Before he knew it, the Masters froze him to the spot. At that moment, Kreia intervened. She revealed herself to the Jedi Masters and killed them, leaving Zek unconscious. Kreia returned to the ship and convinced the Handmaiden to bring her before Atris to be executed, which would kill Zek in the process due to the bond they shared. When Zek learned of this, he began to break down emotionally. He ran away from his friends and returned to the ruins of the Jedi Enclave. Inside, Zek began to hallucinate and go mad, coming to the realization that Kreia was in fact also the Handmaiden's mother, and she had planned all of this from the start. Eventually, Adrian found Zek within the ruins and brought him back to his senses. Zek made peace with his flaws and accepted Sasha's death. The two returned to the Ebon Hawk, and after constructing a new lightsaber, he ordered Aten to set a course for Atris's academy. The fate of the galaxy once again rests in the hands of Zek Vor, with Kreia having revealed herself to be a Sith Lord, and Darth Revan's armada decimating the Republic. Zek has little time left to save the galaxy.